Like every aspect of life, cruising has its own set of unwritten rules. While frequent cruisers are usually familiar with these rules, new cruisers may find that they are left unaware of what's expected of them. Ahoy travelers, it's Amy here to help you make your travel experience a success and hopefully not annoy your fellow passengers. While cruise lines have plenty of rules listed on their website with things cruisers are not supposed to do, like no fighting or items you cannot bring like weapons and Bluetooth speakers, there are still plenty of unwritten rules and etiquette that exist to enhance your experience and ensure you and your fellow passengers have an enjoyable time. So, elevator etiquette. None of these are unique to cruise ships, but I don't think the majority of people use elevators on a regular basis, or at least not ones as busy as those found on a cruise ship. So it's good to touch on these. First of all, allow passengers to exit the elevator before entering. I think some people are so afraid that they won't be able to get on the elevator and will have to wait for the next one that they forget all rules of polite society. Another unwritten rule of elevator etiquette is to allow those with mobility issues to get into the elevator first. Unfortunately, many of those in wheelchairs and scooters find that they get stuck waiting and waiting for space on an elevator. First off, they need a relatively uncrowded elevator in order to have room for the scooter or wheelchair. Then it takes them longer to get to an elevator when one finally opens. Remember, you have an entire bank of elevators and they may be in front of the wrong one. The one that opens up is way down the line. They have to get to it. This means they can find themselves waiting through multiple available elevators if others waiting don't stand aside and allow them time and space to get into the elevator. Another option, if you're physically able, is to try to use the stairs, especially if you're only going 1 or 2 floors. This leaves elevators free for those who really need them. Now, I try to always use the stairs going down and to use them going up unless I have like a ton of floors to climb. Bonus, it does help counter all those extra calories from plentiful cruise food. Now, buffet behavior. The buffet is one place I rarely go to for food, and there are 2 good reasons for that, or at least I think they're good reasons. 1, I find the whole process anxiety-inducing, and 2, buffets are generally full of germs, and on a cruise ship are usually the main place people pick up viruses that cause them to get sick. There aren't a lot of written rules when it comes to cruise ship buffets. Maybe there's a sign reminding guests to wash their hands, but the days of crew blocking your path until you do so are over for most lines. But seriously, wash your hands. Wash your hands before you go into the buffet and touch anything, then wash them again before you eat after you've touched all those serving spoons and tongs that everybody else touched. You have to wash your hands before going into the buffet for others and wash them after going through the line for you. While hand washing may be one of the most important things you do when going to the buffet, at least to stay healthy, it isn't the only unwritten rule. You need to respect the buffet lines. Don't cut in line. I know it is so tempting when you only want to get one thing. I get it. It's part of why I don't like buffets. I don't want to wait in line just to grab an apple. But them's the rules. The unwritten rules anyway. Never ever touch any food with your hands. Always use the serving utensils and tongs. Sure, it's just a piece of bread or an apple, but you don't want to accidentally touch anything that someone else will eat. Another thing is to not grab all of some item. If there is a container of bacon, don't get all the bacon or even half the bacon. Get a couple pieces of bacon. You can come back. Leave stuff for other people. It's a buffet. You can come back as many times as you want. While it may seem wasteful, get a new plate every time you go back to the buffet. It's unsanitary and frankly just gross to bring a plate back that you've already used and put it near food that others are going to be consuming. For most lines, you can leave your used dishes on the table and a crew member will gather them at some point. Speaking of your dishes, what if you take a plate of food from the buffet or other restaurant and you take it to another area of the ship? What do you do with your dishes then? This can change from line to line, but generally you can leave them in any public area out of the way and a crew member will pick them up at some point. There's always crew members going around picking up trash, picking up dirty dishes, empty cups. However, there are places that you really shouldn't be leaving your empty dishes and cups. Don't leave them in any place where people will be walking, especially high traffic areas. While it might be okay to leave plates around the pool area for a short time, it really isn't the best place to be leaving your half-eaten burgers. Mostly, it's just gross. I hate looking at someone's food garbage, which is what it is as soon as you're done eating. In my opinion, once you're done eating, that plate is now garbage and I really don't want to look at it. But with all the water around the pool area, it's just not really sanitary to leave your food out. Little kids running around, dripping water all over plates until ketchup starts running off them and into the ground. Ugh, gross. I see a lot of people putting their plates under lounge chairs, but that often puts the dishes out of the way of the crew members that are going around and picking up those dishes. Unless no one is sitting on the lounger, they really can't go underneath there and get them. Be considerate. Take your plates to a nearby table and leave them there, especially if you're planning on remaining in the area. If you order room service, you will want to ask your server or room steward what you should do with the dishes once you're finished. For many lines, they ask you to leave them in the room, but Carnival wants you to place them outside your stateroom door as they have crew members who walk the halls specifically to gather up those dishes. Make sure you cover them with a napkin so nobody has to look at your dirty dishes, and keep them next to the wall so nobody has to step over them. They're not in the way of traffic. So what's the laundry lowdown? Some ships have self-service laundry services where you can wash your own laundry for a small fee. Still cheaper than sending them off to be laundered. However, just like any laundry facility on land, don't leave your clothes in the washer or dryer past their current cycle time. If you need to leave or just don't like hanging around and waiting, be sure to be back before your clothes are finished. Many times there are people waiting to use those machines. There's not a lot of them. And people will take your laundry out for you if it's left behind for very long. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want anyone touching my clothes. I have a few more unwritten rules to go over, but before I do, if you enjoy this video and maybe even learn something, consider subscribing with the notification bell on so you don't miss out on any future posts. Don't be late. Many people enjoy cruising because you can relax and not be ruled by the clock. Well, that's true for much of your time, but not for everything. If you're headed to a show in the theater, be on time. While they don't shut the doors and prevent people from showing up late, although a lot of people think they should, it is disruptive to both the performers and the audience to come in late. If you do show up late, quietly find a seat in the back. Do not walk all the way down to the front looking for a seat. 1, there probably isn't an open seat in the front. And 2, it's super distracting for those who go to the theater on time, not to mention the performers. I've seen so many people complain about this. If you are scheduled for a specific time in the dining room or specialty restaurant, do not be late. If you're too late, you may not get seated. While they will attempt to accommodate you as much as possible, if you're more than 15 minutes late to the dinner in the MDR, there's a good chance they're not going to be able to serve you. It's best to be on time. If you're running late, just go to the buffet instead. Another place where you will have to be on time is on excursions. Unless you're on a private excursion, if you are late getting back to the bus during a stop, it affects everyone on the excursion with you. I've heard stories of tour groups having to miss their last stop because 1 or 2 in the group were consistently 10-15 minutes late to return to the bus at every stop in the tour. So respect quiet areas. Many ships have designated quiet zones where it is expected that guests keep noise to a minimum. There are plenty of places on a ship where quiet is not expected. Go there. When someone is loud in one of the few places where others expect to find a quiet retreat, that's just selfish and rude. There are 2 main ways that I see people breaking this unwritten rule. 1 is people talking very loudly with friends and not keeping their conversation contained within their group. I can assure you, no one wants to hear your stories while they are trying to have a quiet conversation or read a book. The other is people listening to music or watching videos without using headphones. It really doesn't matter how quiet you think your volume is. Unless you are by yourself, it is distracting and annoying to others. When walking through the cabin hallways, try to keep your volume down. Even during the middle of the day, people will often be taking naps. People stay up late, get up early, they need a nap in the middle of the day. Try to keep your cabin doors from slamming as you're going in and out. They are heavy and loud. And if you and your significant other plan on a romantic evening, remember that the walls of your cabin are not soundproof. Even if you don't care that your neighbors know that you're getting busy, you might be keeping them from being able to sleep. Don't forget the crew. Although some cruises include gratuities, it's still a good gesture to tip staff who go above and beyond. For any crew that I have contact with over and over again, I make sure to give them something extra by the end of the cruise. Another great way to reward crew is to fill out the cruise line survey and mention specific crew members who help make your cruise special. These kudos can go a long way toward promotions for crew members. And while I don't think this should need to be said, unfortunately it does. Make sure that you are respectful to crew members. They work 7 days a week for months at a time to make your cruise enjoyable. They deserve respect for that. Unfortunately, I have seen guests talk down to crew for no reason. It's unacceptable. And finally, be respectful. It should go without saying that being respectful to others would easily cover all unwritten rules. The old adage to do unto others as you would have them do unto you rings very true when aboard a ship with thousands of other people. Most problems you have that involve another passenger are a result of selfishness. Some people have the opinion that it's my vacation, I'll do what I want. But that only works if you're vacationing alone in a mountain retreat somewhere. As long as you're around others, your actions can affect the enjoyment of others. Do you find yourself getting annoyed by those who cannot respect the unwritten rules of society, or is that just me? Let me know in the comments your thoughts. I've always been one to believe that when people follow the unwritten rules of society, it goes a long way towards keeping the peace in any situation. The last thing I want to touch on is a really good reminder to everyone. A good thing to always remember is that our reactions to any given situation are a choice. You can choose to get upset and angry when someone accidentally bumps into you, or even if they intentionally cut the line at the buffet. Or you can choose to let it go. This is your vacation. Try not to let the actions of others ruin it. You will be happier and enjoy your cruise more if you make a conscious choice not to let things bother you. I say this as much for myself as for anyone else. If I'm in a public space and someone nearby does something I think is rude or impolite to do in public, I often find that I cannot focus on anything else. Focusing on those behaviors is an impulse that I really try to curb when on vacation because I don't want to spend my vacation focusing on someone else's rude behavior. Sometimes it's better for my sanity to get up, find a new spot to relax. So can you think of any unwritten rules that I forgot? If so, please drop them in the comments below to help out any future cruisers. Well, are you ready for more information on cruising? Why not stick around and check out this video and then come back for more information designed to help you have an amazing cruise. Have a blessed week, everyone.